Hello, I'm Andrew Lipinski.
And I'm Keith DeCandido, and it's been a long summer, but here we are with the third season of The Chronic Rift. Can you believe it? That's amazing. Anyway,
How have we stayed on this long?
Amazing, isn't it? Tonight we are entering a dimension not only in sight and sound, but of mind. A place where people sit around and talk about strange things related to fantasy, science fiction, and comic books.
What Keith is endeavoring to say, in a really bad way, is that tonight we are going to be discussing Rod Serling's most famous creation, The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, what you say. Anyway, first, however, we have an interview. I was able to meet with Jim Emerson, who is the editor, creator, and general force behind Futures Past, which is a new magazine devoted to the history of science fiction, and here's what he had to say.
And each issue basically covers all the films, all the books, all the magazines of each year. And, well, I guess to get back to your original question, the reason I did it was to sort of give myself more of an education in science fiction, so that's what's really interested in me. And so, even though I'm doing this as sort of a business thing, and selling and publishing a magazine, it's really been a nice learning experience for me, learning about the old days in science fiction and, I mean, how the whole thing actually really first started.
Where do you do most of your research?
I do most of my research at Bowling Green University up in Northwest Ohio. And they've got a popular culture library there, and it's probably the best popular culture library in the country. They've got, just in science fiction, they've got about, well, close to 9,000 volumes of pulp magazines. They've got about 40,000 volumes of science fiction, both novels and anthologies and reference books and things like that. They've also got probably close to 100,000 photographic stills and recording albums and just about anything you can imagine. And it's not really just a science fiction library, it's a popular culture library. They cover all types of media.
On October 2nd, 1959, The Twilight Zone made its debut on American televisions. Its creator was Rod Serling, who had won writing fame for several televised plays, including Patterns and Requiem for a Heavyweight. The Twilight Zone became one of the most influential shows on television, making Twilight Zone a household term, and inspiring programs such as The Outer Limits and Thriller. With us tonight to discuss this dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, we have, on my far right, Arlen Schumer, a commercial artist and author of Visions from the Twilight Zone, a hefty or not so hefty coffee table book, depending on which version you buy. On my right, we have John Ordover, a science fiction author, critic, and editor who has been on our previous discussions of Star Trek and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And on the other side of Keith, we have Gordon Sander, a professor, journalist, cultural historian, and contributor to the New York Times and International Tribune, whose book, Serling, The Rise and Twilight of Television's Last Angry Man, which took 12 years to write, is going to be coming out in November. Gentlemen, we're glad to have you with us.
Rod Serling zeroed in on what I call classic post-war American fears. Certain things that we can all identify with, like being locked in a department store at night, seeing something outside your airplane window or out of your car window, taking reality as we see it and just skewing it slightly and making you think, well, what if things were different? What if there wasn't war or bigotry? And because of that, I think he hit on a lot of universal fears and a lot of universal ideas that everybody can relate to.
I don't disagree with that. I emphasize it somewhat differently. I would say that the major thing about the Twilight Zone is that it had a strongly secularized version of religion. It had an extremely moral tone to it that many stories have in order to give you that sense of resolution that everything worked out fairly and rightly. But this sort of recast religious ideals, moral ideals, very liberal for the time moral ideals, in a way that was very infectious and very easy for people to relate to.
I think one of the interesting things about it, you mentioned is very liberal, and it was. There were only really two shows doing that at the time, The Twilight Zone and also Dragnet. Dragnet was like The Twilight Zone, promoting a viewpoint, but it was at the completely opposite end of the spectrum. It was a very right-wing thing. And also, like The Twilight Zone, Dragnet was very much driven by one person. Dragnet was Jack Webb's show. And The Twilight Zone was very much Rod Serling's show. He wrote it, he narrated it. Well, he wrote a lot of it anyway. And he guided the the scripts that he didn't specifically write, and he had a core of writers that he worked with very closely.
It's good to keep in mind, one of the reasons why this show became popular, actually one of the reasons why this show was made was Rod Serling himself, and that he had a certain stardom that he had acquired from writing Requiem and writing patterns, and he was as close to a
An auteur.
star that television writing had
There we
produced.
must cease. We
unfortunately.
have a couple of seconds left. Arlen,
Andrea.
come on, do Serling
Serling.
for us. Brief, very quick. You did it for Joe Franklin, you can do it for us.
Submitted for your approval the Chronic Rift, science fiction, fantasy, and comics. Be here for the next episode when we will be talking about...
Alan
Alan
Moore.
Moore. We'll see you then.
Good night.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Hawk!
Wow! A video camera! Extreme close-up!
Hello!
Hi there!
Where's your better half? Nice, I like that shirt. Very pretty, very blue.
Yes, where is your better half? My better half can walk down the street, so...
Oh, she's just getting here on her own. That.
Yes, we're in your face camera. Yes, rescue 911, yes. She's choking! And this is what we call the Batman angle. Dun, 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 dun. Biff!